Introducing the hottest new podcast on the block. They are the beardiest bastards of them all. Welcome to the voice inside.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Voice Inside podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Kyle.
I'm Neil, and our guest today is, if you'd like to speak.
Hello, it's me, your boy, Dark Acoustic.
Nice to see you. Well, not
Or,
to see you.
as your Twitch name says,
oLyraa.
yeah. Welcome
Which
on
only
in.
gets a little bit confusing here and there.
Only a little bit.
I never know. Oh, yes. I always call you Dark.
As long as I go through this podcast and don't call you Gold, we should be fine.
It would be a step of progress, actually.
It would be. It would be. Today's the day.
And Kyle go a whole 2 hours without calling me gold.
Yeah.
Find out at the end of this episode. Okay. So, can you give us a brief rundown of who you are exactly and, like, kind of how you started your journey in what you do?
Who I am. Jeez, that's a whole story and a half right there. I don't even know who I am. Who am I? So, yeah, most people know me as Dark Acoustic. I originally met Kyle way back on a platform called Beam before it changed over to Mixer, in which that whole journey really started for me starting on YouTube and then getting into the streaming side of things. From that, then Beam came to be a thing. I met Kyle. We've maintained our friendship since then, and then I've met plenty of amazing people through Mixer as a platform. And streaming as a whole has just been something that I've always enjoyed doing, having that interactions with people you meet along the way and being able to share your moments while doing whatever it is on that side of content creation is always a fantastic experience.
Very nice. Thank you. Yeah, I do want to talk about Mixer a bit later on, for sure, because it is a big part of where we met and kind of where we both kind of got our footing, I guess.
Yeah, most definitely.
So, yeah, we asked this one to all of our guests. I say this with you being our first guest. What is your favourite meal and drink?
Okay, this is gonna be obviously a very boring kind of pick because it is very common, but I just have to go with a good old pizza. You know,
Good old pizza.
a good old pizza.
What about
Let's do
drink?
I go around for pizza, and then drink. I mean, anything with caffeine. To be honest, I mean,
Right. Yeah. You're a caffeine person, which is, I think most people are. So you have to have a little bit to keep your day going.
my body at this point is just caffeine.
Yeah, I feel that. Like, if I don't have caffeine by a certain point of being awake, I just get a headache.
It doesn't bother me now.
My day
I mean,
goes downhill.
I used to drink 10 to 15 cups of coffee a day, and I don't even drink. I hardly drink it now. It's
How
really
the
weird.
fuck, man? I forgot.
Well, that's the thing. I've cut down on the amount of caffeine I drink a lot, and I definitely don't drink it as much now for the taste because for a lot of energy drinks and whatnot, it's kind of just you disregard that kind of thing after so long.
Yeah.
I don't
But-
know what you mean.
I like
energy drink.
I like the energy drink if you mix it with alcohol, though. That can be quite nice if you pick the right one. It can be quite delicious. So
I guess the best way of explaining it and comparing it is kind of drinking something like whiskey. You don't drink whiskey for the taste of it. And that's kind of just how energy drinks and stuff is for me at this point. This is just I drink it because just the caffeine, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
felt
lot.
that. I'm at that point. I've been at that point. Okay, so the next question is, where did we meet?
Well, we've already established that mix-up,
We have.
or being Beam, and I mean, really, I think it was initially from. I think I joined one of your streams initially, while you were doing music. I think that's kind of how everything first established was you were doing music to begin with, and I joined through that.
I think so. I mean, back when I started on Mixer, there wasn't a lot of, I guess, music streams, and I was just kind of getting into music at the time myself. So I think it must have been through a Minecraft stream, either Minecraft or music, one of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely one of the two.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we were both pretty prominent in both of those categories.
Yeah. There weren't many people doing music when you first started. I remember.
No.
Definitely, there wasn't. There was only a handful of people, and it got better. Bigger and bigger, didn't it?
Yeah,
it?
like I took like a year break or something at one point, and I came back, and all of a sudden there's a music scene, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? There's like two streamers here before.
Blew up, and that was it, wasn't it? So it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Kind
think.
of went backwards too on that approach because like you kind of progressed more towards music from that point. Like you
Yeah.
built up from that, and I went the opposite direction of I moved down from music to the point of barely doing it anymore and just completely following gaming.
Right.
Yeah, you did. I remember many a late night Minecraft stream from you.
Oh, most definitely. That was kind of my main form of content way back.
Oh yeah, I remember quite vividly that summer that I think it was probably our last proper summer on Mixer, because I feel like we both took a break after a bit. I think we both took a break at the same time from Mixer, actually, from streaming
Um,
ish.
yeah, I don't remember the exact timeline, but I
No.
went through a point of with a group of people, I transitioned to Twitch and then came back to Mixer,
Yeah.
in which I think he was like back streaming again there at that point, in which I started tuning back in again, and then from that point, I kind of went way more variety in that regard.
Yeah. Because I remember that summer we were both pushing for partnership, and we were both getting decent figures. You better than me at that point. And
Considering the, I mean, that you've always got to think about how Minecraft is such a popular game, like
oh
one
yeah,
of the most popular, best-selling games out there for certain. That to pull that kind of viewership is obviously a lot much easier than it is to do that with something like music, where especially on Mixer, the music scene wasn't as prominent as you mentioned.
yeah, it was definitely a lot harder to get going on Mixer, but I feel like within the music community there was a lot of supporters. However, that did end up feeling very clicky, because it kind of, at some point I remember there being a divide between two different groups, and that's kind of when I went, okay, I'm out. That's when I took my break. I was like, I'm good.
I think that happens everywhere at some point, though.
I think it does.
Everywhere gets that. You get to a certain point, and you're like, oh, but it's. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a break either. So it only improves stuff eventually, I think.
Oh yeah.
So you know, you come back refreshed and ready for something new, which is always good. And then you both progress to Twitch, so which is the main thing, isn't it now? So it seems to be the big one.
Yeah.
That's something I kind of want to touch on with like Mixer. I think one thing that was so great and appealing to a lot of people was how connected the community was originally.
Yeah.
As soon as deals started coming in, and I'm not going to say that that was kind of the a big cause of the way uh, Mixer declined in any way, but I definitely feel before that point everything was a lot more connected and people wanted to be on it because not only was it just the whole deal with Microsoft and how a lot of Xbox members kind of could join there because it was just directly built into Xbox,
Yeah.
but also just everyone that transitioned over there was just like they were doing it because they heard so much about the community and they wanted to be involved with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. I think with Mixer, the community was a big draw. I think the interactive side of Mixer was also a massive draw. Because obviously with Mixer you could make your own interactive things, and
Oh,
you
there
could
was so
pretty
many
much
things.
build it into any game or anything, and that was always super cool to me and super unique.
Which Twitch has taken some of that on board. I feel like now we have the point system. That was
Yeah.
something that we had similar. Definitely not as involved. Mixer had like a whole interactive thing with the screen where you could pay
Oh
for
man.
like use points to get like a beach ball, and you could click on the
Oh, the
screen of the
beach
beach ball
ball.
and throw it around. Stuff like that was
Yeah.
really cool. But then you also had things like Hype Zone, where
Mhm.
whenever in a top 10 situation in like a BR, you'd get put into this zone that your stream would be featured there. People could watch that and get
That's
involved, and it would kind of click almost like a host. You'd be hosted temporarily. People watch your stream, join in the chat, they interact, they see you get the win, they get hyped up. You get hyped up because of more people get to see it than just your initial viewership. And that was something I think that brought way more people in, connected people on a wider level for sure.
Yeah, I think it did. I mean, Hype Zone was definitely. I don't know. Hype Zone was a tricky one because I know a lot of people got the impression and the opinion that it kind of felt like inflated viewership on those channels, especially on the
Mm.
Fortnite one, considering that I think they ended up making a PUBG one as well at some point. And it just wasn't as popular. But looking back at that now, Fortnite was an insanely popular game at that time, and it still is, if not more
def-
popular.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm still surprised, like you were saying about Minecraft being so popular, and continues to be. That's the weird thing.
Uh-huh.
So many people still play that game, and new people come to it all the time, which is why it's grown, I guess, and newer stuff is still being added all the time, which is really bloody cool for me. I think it's great. I'm loving starting again and doing that myself.
Yeah.
Coming back because I mean I hadn't played for I don't know 9 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like I never stopped. It's such a weird game that you can just go back to, and it's like, oh yeah, then you do that and you do that, and I take it at my pace, but that's fine. So everyone does it at their own pace, don't they? So I do
Yeah.
what I can do on there, which is fun. So, but I still like it. It's a great game.
Yeah, I think the biggest draw with Mixer was the interactivity and also community. And I definitely feel that it did kind of go downhill. I don't know whether it was coincidence or whatnot. I mean, I'm gonna say it was coincidence, but it did definitely feel around the time that they started bringing streamers in on deals because I don't know. I guess they were the kind of the first
Mm,
people outside Twitch to turn around and take a streamer and give them a certain amount of money to stream on their platform.
yeah.
I think
Um,
one big factor with it was just that with those deals coming in, it brought like an influx of viewers into it, but a lot of people going, oh, well, maybe I can get into Mixer from
Yeah.
Twitch or something and get successful from it much faster.
yeah,
And a lot of people transitioned over for just that reason. That I think it got to a point where maybe just like that kind of took away from the community side of it. Like way more people streaming because of that influx of viewership and influx of people trying to stream on the platform.
mm,
Therefore, spreading everything out so much to the point where people trying to find new people to watch definitely wasn't as easy as it used to be. And that's
no,
going to happen with popularity of the platform growing.
Yeah.
It's why Twitch is so difficult to grow. There's so many people streaming,
That's right.
and it's so widespread, and trying to
Yeah.
find new streamers is very difficult.
Mm,
it
yeah.
is. But I feel with Twitch over time, slowly, I feel like definitely in the last year, even though we haven't streamed much, I feel like I've had more people come into the stream and say they found us through things like tags or through like just searching the section.
Mm,
Yeah, they've definitely opened up the reach. There's a word I'm trying to think of.
Yeah.
Like trying to connect people to new streams. I mean, looking myself, like when you go on the homepage, you see plenty of you might like this streamer because of this, clips you may like because of other streamers you watched. When
Yeah.
you're in a channel, you'll see this person, this streamer's viewers also watch these people, and you have a list of a couple of people, and
Mm-hmm.
that whole variety of ways of trying to reach out and find new people is always a good way to, you know, connect new viewers to new streamers, which is great to see.
Yeah, definitely. It prompts you to go and look, I think, as well. So it's quite good.
Oh yeah,
It's a good way of doing it.
for
It
sure.
is a good one.
I think over time discoverability on Twitch has been getting better. However, I still feel I mean I feel like right now, if you're doing something, I mean it's always been that way. Like if you find a niche that's like not very much done, or if you find a way to do something in a different way that it hasn't been presented before, I feel like you're at much more of a chance of growing with that. However, it's then trying to capitalize on that and try and make things similar to that those people are still going to enjoy. Especially if you're like locked into like one game, like if you only stream Valorant or something and you find a niche in it or something or whatnot.
Yeah, that's true.
One thing that surprises me, recently with the Wrapped that we've had,
Yes.
going through and showing you what kind of categories you've streamed in and where you've gained your viewership from, all of that. And one thing I noticed for myself, and I know for you as well, you were surprised by a couple of categories you were like top 10% in.
Yeah.
And there was about 6 or 7 games I was top 10% in, and I didn't even play them for that long. It was like a couple of weeks here and there. Games like Elder Scrolls Online, Division 2, stuff I just wasn't playing very long and dived into, decided to stream, and as I went through my grind of those games for that certain amount of time, hitting top 10% in those categories was super surprising with how big Twitch is in terms of viewership and how many streamers there are out there. Like seeing yourself in those number lines, even top 5% in some things, you're surprised.
Yeah, it makes you feel better, I think, when you see that as well.
Almost
It,
definitely.
it definitely gives you hope, doesn't it, that you're doing the right thing and you're getting out to people, which is awesome, really.
Oh yeah,
That's
for sure.
the main thing, isn't it? So it all helps in that respect.
I mean, when you think that right now, as we're recording this, I'm using twitchtracker.com. They have 4 different trackers on there. One of them is live viewers now, live channels now, 7-day average channels, 7-day average viewers. The 7-day average viewers is currently at 2.1 million, which in a month is obviously 3 times that or 4 times that.
Yeah, so you're looking at close to 10 million, right?
You're looking at close to like 10 million average viewers on the platform per month.
And how many people actually stream?
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
Definitely more. There was a number out there on the Wrapped, I want to say, that they had like a really large amount of like new affiliates
Yeah,
for the year, which is like obviously that means that a whole lot more people are streaming.
it was like 50,000 or something.
Yeah, like, it was a really big number.
And then there was like 600 partners or something, and I'm like, what the fuck? 600 partners and 50,000 new affiliates? That's insane.
Yeah, yeah.
And going onto the subject of like, we can't talk about it much, but we can only talk about certain things that are public with it, like, like the splits that you get. Like obviously, every streamer that's streaming and trying to make a living off of it is going to want a better percentage between both themselves and Twitch. So seeing on the Wrapped that there were 50,000 new affiliates this year, it really puts into perspective on why affiliates don't have a better percentage payout, and 2, why they probably won't do it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with that volume of new people. Like, yeah, granted, it's amazing that in the last year, 50,000 people around the world
Yeah.
are able to now make money from something, from like a hobby that they enjoy doing. That's great.
Yeah.
And maybe, but saying that, maybe only 3 of them in the next year will grow to the size where they're partnered.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say,
If you
really,
think about it.
I wonder how many people how many of that 50 are going to be still streaming in a year.
Yeah.
You know how much that goes down. I mean, you could probably guess and say it might only be, I don't know, 10% would be probably too much. It's probably less than that. That actually is still streaming a year later. But I mean, it gives people the opportunity to try it. That's the thing. That's what I
Yeah.
like about it. It gives you the opportunity to try it, and some people stick with it, and some people it's not for them. So that's the way it is, isn't it? It's the same with everything, I suppose. Whatever you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely also see like an increase in streamers with that, because I mean that 50,000 affiliates is not even accounting for people that are charity oriented streams that don't even want to get affiliated, and they
Yeah.
just stay without that affiliation status, or people that don't even want to get affiliated to begin with. Like I
Oh yeah.
myself have the requirements to be the affiliate, but I
Right.
just decided not to do it because
Right.
really I'm not too interested in the income coming from it. Of course, you could say it is just the bonus to it of you get paid extra for just,
Yeah.
doing your thing, streaming,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great, it's fantastic. But from my side of it, I do this for fun. The
Yeah.
content creation is my way of I play the game, I share the moments of just as I'm playing and what I'm doing and the fun that comes from that and just those cool moments that you have, you get other people to witness that and feel involved with that. And that itself is the main reason I do it.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean
I like.
that is a great reason, and that is also why we do it. However, obviously, on top of that, I mean, man, honestly, becoming an affiliate it's a weird line because people will become affiliate just to. There will be people that become an affiliate purely for the basis of they want to try and make as much money from Twitch as they can, which, sure, that's what they want to do. Personally, if you're getting into streaming and that is your goal, that shouldn't be your goal, ever. First. No way. Because I feel like there's much better ways outside of Twitch to gain revenue. Like, you can do merch, you can do stuff like Patreon, or have outside things. And I think there's a lot better ways than just turning around and going, oh yeah, I'm gonna become an affiliate with like 100 followers and go full time on Twitch. You should not do that ever.
There's a lot of ways to make money, but you've got to find your way of doing it. That's the thing. That's one of the biggest things, isn't it? I think as well.
And I will say, yes, we are a smaller channel, and we do turn around and say we are full time content creators. However, when we say that, we mean more from the music side previously.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and then there's obviously going to be people that become affiliate purely because they want to have a sub button and feel like it's some sort of like verification in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
Because pretty much at the end of the day, it's just like having a partner badge. Like, having that partner badge doesn't really benefit you at all. Which is another thing of that's a question I want to ask you. Do you think that having a partner badge would help in any way?
I mean, I feel to a degree there's some extra discoverability out of it because if I don't know anymore, but I know before, uh, if you look on Twitch and like general categories, you would see a streamer's name who is partnered, and you'd have the little verified tick next to it.
Yeah.
Seeing that in the category, you kind of feel like, okay, this person has been doing it for a while. You know, they've established a community. You know that they have some popularity for some reason, whether that's they have a fun personality, what they do for streaming, they're really talented. It could be many sort of things that draws you to that streamer in particular.
Yeah.
Whether they still do that anymore, I don't know. Other than that, I mean, it's kind of just that bonus of in chat. You know, when you're in chat, I want to say it does show for certain. And you then see,
does.
okay, that person is verified, you know, like they're a partner streamer. And with that, then, you know, you have that respect for them in some form. Not that you don't have respect for other streamers, but you can establish they're a streamer straight away. Whereas I think if you had another form of icon for just anyone that is a streamer, that way then you kind of share that same mutual respect across the board because you're like, oh, this other person's a streamer. You can connect to them on that level and know straight away from them being in your stream or, you know, you going into someone else's stream and seeing that person in the chat.
Yeah.
You know what they're doing. You know they have a stream.
Yeah. I think I'd like if there was like a global Twitch badge to show off that you are a streamer. However, with that,
Yeah.
there are a lot of channels.
Yeah.
There's such a drama-filled side to streaming as well, where people will get jealous that there's a partnered streamer in their chat and ban the partnered streamer when they're just purely trying to go in there and like network, do what the smaller streamer is doing.
Most definitely. And I feel like, you know, from, you know, if it was me in those shoes, like the shoes of a partnered streamer going into a chat, I would feel weird kind of talking sometimes because of just that reason.
100%. It must be really weird.
Yeah.
And it's probably why a lot of partnered streamers don't go and raid smaller streamers.
Right.
Because in theory, you don't see it a lot. The only time I really see it is like maybe I don't know. I guess it does happen. It's just a lot rarer, I guess.
It's going to fall down to the person, the streamer itself, rather than just the status of the streamer. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. Like, if there's a kind person that is partnered, they're going to, you know, raid whoever they want. There's not going to be singling out like, oh, this person's partnered or not, so I'm going to raid them.
Yeah.
But raiding someone who isn't partnered and having that kind of, you know, pushback, I suppose.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I missed a slight part of that because for some reason our internet I think went a bit dodgy. I don't know about you, Dad.
What it was? Yeah, I didn't. It sort of went off and then come back on. So.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's happening.
No, it's alright.
I can't fully remember where you were, so I won't make you repeat it. However, I think the overall gist was there. It wasn't much we missed. It was like that, a couple seconds. You probably saw both of us freeze.
No, I mean, yeah, it's a weird. It must be a weird thing for them, for people that are partnered, though.
Yeah.
I can understand.
But I think it can also be the same vice versa. Like, I've raided bigger streamers before. Like this was back on my start on Twitch. Back when I was like 13. And I remember raiding this bigger Minecraft streamer. Bear in mind, by bigger Minecraft streamer, I mean like 30 viewers.
Right.
Which is a lot. It is a lot of viewers.
Yeah.
However, the ego on this person was so much bigger than that.
Yeah. That's a shame when that happens.
That they turned around and they were like, "Oh yeah, don't raid me if you have less than like 10 viewers." I'm like,
yeah, it's like, what do you want? Yeah.
Whoa, what?
that's not nice. I don't
I
know.
will never really understand that because I mean, at the end of it, it is someone sharing their community with you.
Yeah,
Like the numbers do not make any form of difference whatsoever if that you're just gaining extra viewership. Is that not what you want as a streamer? Is like to reach out and get more viewership?
Mhm.
I would hope so, but some people are. I mean, some people are just like that. I guess some people are weird, and
Yeah,
I don't know.
like you would think that
It's
that
a
is
shame.
what your goal is, but I guess for a lot of people maybe it isn't, because obviously there's the whole thing about hate rates and everything,
It
and
seems weird.
people that purposefully go and hate rate people, or
Mm,
pull it, or people's content that is only them pulling a stream up and having their stream go in and harass that person, and that's been such a big thing over the last like 2-3 years.
you just went out then.
Okay. Um, where did I cut out?
Near the well, go again. Probably would be the easiest thing to say.
Um, so what was I saying? I was saying,
There's different forms like hate raids and all that kind of stuff, and people pulling up certain people's streams for just like playing it.
Yeah,
yeah, that's pretty much all I said.
yeah.
Um, I was just like, yeah, like I was just saying it's been such a big thing over the last 2 to 3 years that that is also a thing as well,
Mm.
which is ridiculous.
It's a shame that that happens. I don't know. I mean, you see it everywhere, though. That's the thing. I mean,
Oh,
on
yeah.
on any kind of social media platform, there's always somebody disliking something somebody said, or somebody's put a picture up and they don't like it and whatever, and it just builds and builds and builds. And I haven't got time for it.
Yeah.
To be absolutely honest with you, I don't want to see it. Um, it seems petty and stupid to me, and that's it.
It's
As far as
like that guy the other day, not naming any names.
I
I'm
know
concerned.
exactly
Yeah,
where you're going with
I
that, you
doubt
know?
they'll ever see it, but I was streaming Fortnite the other day, and we were doing
yeah,
a logo quiz, and chat was telling me the logos, and I was trying to make it entertaining and make out like I didn't know the logos, which fair enough for the car brands I didn't know.
yeah.
The nitty gritty of it doesn't matter. Pretty
No.
much, the basis of it is this person had come to our streams on and off for about a year and a half. They come into the stream and they're just really nitpicky and everything, and just really stabby for no reason. So at the end of it, they turn around. It came down to they asked me if I was playing modded on Fortnite, and I'm like, there's no modded. Creative is a game mode, and people can make maps. He was like, well, that's modded. We're like, no. And like people in chat, like Dark was in chat, trying to explain, no, it's a whole game mode in the game. And all in all, turned around and called everyone an idiot. And then what happened, Dark?
Well, I banned him. I couldn't tolerate that bullshit, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like
Good for you.
it was a formal disagreement until the point where he just started calling everyone like, no brain zoomers because like he didn't understand what we were talking about. And as we were trying to explain it to him in the nicest form possible, he just couldn't handle that. It was like, oh no, I'm right, I know what I'm talking about, you guys are stupid, bye.
Yeah, well, that's the person that's always right, and it doesn't matter what you say. So there's plenty of them in the world, unfortunately. But there we are.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know a few of them, trust me.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've had
Um,
experience.
but I brought that up mainly because of what Dad just said.
Yeah.
But also, this person was also a streamer themselves.
Yeah,
If someone was to go into their chat and do the same shit,
yeah.
they would not like it one fucking bit. And it's just like, okay, so like,
Probably as tolerant as you were, actually. So
yeah,
like you wouldn't be.
I mean, I have a high tolerance and patience for people that I will hear them out, but like as soon as they got to that point where they just started insulting people,
No,
It was like it's unnecessary. There's no reason to lash out in that form just because of
No.
you didn't agree.
no,
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm not going to sit there and be patient with you.
yeah.
After all of that, it wasn't worth it.
If you're not going to listen, bugger off. That's all it comes to, at the end of the day sometimes. But there we are.
You know that person is going to come back again at some point and have the same kind of scenario happen. So it's not worth dealing with that again. Sure, you could go with the whole two strikes, third strike you're out. But it's I don't know. I was not feeling it that day to want to actually have the patience to deal with that.
Yeah.
Uh,
For those of you that didn't know, we forgot to mention this at the start. Dark is one of our mods on Twitch, and has been since Mixer. So he has been technically a part of Chased by Voices longer than Chased by Voices.
Yeah.
He is pre Chased by Voices era. A lot of our mods are actually. There's only a brief handful that are from like new era.
last couple of years or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true, actually. Yeah.
So, boys, I just want to mention.
Yeah.
You know how I said we're going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
We're only like a question or two in, right?
We're 40 minutes in, and we're on the third question.
We didn't do exactly the same
But
thing.
we've
guys.
covered a lot, though. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you got to do sometimes.
We've got all the time in the world.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, if you are listening to the podcast, I did forget to mention at the start, which is a failure by me. If you do enjoy the podcast and you want to listen to more, make sure you check it out, The Voice Inside on Spotify. It's also on Amazon, and obviously YouTube. And you can find us at Chase by Voices on socials. Do you have socials, Dark?
I do, yes. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's a bit confusing because like oLyraa on Twitch, but then it's basically Dark Acoustic everywhere else.
Right.
And that is oLyraa for anyone listening on Spotify, with two A's at the end. OLYRAA.
That's it. Always good to spell names because it can be confusing.
Yes. Okay. So, should we speed things up a bit? Should we go a bit quick fire, boys?
A speed round, shall we?
5, 7,
We need a
21.
massive speed.
Wait.
So, Dark, what would be your dream job if you weren't doing what you were?
Oof.
Fucking
I mean,
oof.
I definitely can't say I'm in a dream job at the moment, that's for sure. It's a bit of a weird one for me because, like, I can't say I've ever had that whole ideology of, yeah, I want to do this form of dream job when I'm older type thing. I've kind of just always gone with the flow.
Yeah.
Streaming, though, is something that, I've gone at with fun, but if it built into something more, I mean, I would definitely just kind of let that go. I'd roll with it.
Yeah.
And same thing would have went with music, really. It's been a long while since I've done anything band oriented, but I think if it went into something of getting into another band or forming another band, I would probably roll with that. But it would definitely be a lot more on the heavier side to anything I've done in the past.
We like heavy. We do like heavy.
Right. Like the thing is, in the past, every kind of music oriented thing or band project I've done has always been on the lighter side of things. The heaviest it would go would be more like leaning to pop punk, whereas my music taste has evolved so much since then to the point where I'm into the heaviest point of genres where people are just like, how do you even listen to that or understand anything that's going on?
What's that pig squealing about?
Exactly.
What did he just say to me, Mister?
But I would love to delve into that, like any form of instrument, and like whether it was vocally, whether it was like playing guitar, picking up drums. I mean, I would love to get heavy into the drums, and I think it's the one instrument I haven't engaged in properly. Like I've played, I have the basics down, but I would love to get good at it, become professional at it in some form, because it is the form of instrument where I think I could let out all my energy.
Yeah, you can definitely let your aggression out with it.
Drums are so fun.
It is fun to do it. I mean, it's like that Won't Surrender that we play. It's my favourite song to drum to, because it's so, it changes in certain places, but it's one I can whack at, and I can really smash it, smash the thing with it. That's why there's so many scratches on that bloody thing of mine on the front, because I use the wire brush as well.
On occasion,
But
yeah.
it's my favourite thing. It's one of my favourite songs to do. I love playing to the heavier ones, because you can bash it out, which is cool. Definitely, that would be interesting to hear.
Yeah, I think I do like, I don't know. I mean, even back on Mixer, I guess that was the kind of era I started getting into bands like Bring Me the Horizon and everything. Like meeting you is when I started to really start listening to like heavier stuff. I slightly got into it a little bit beforehand, but I think the heaviest I'd gotten was something like Maiden or something at that point, which in the grand scheme of things is not really heavy at all.
I mean, it's like heavy kind of classic metal in a
Yeah,
way.
it's heavy
It's like
classic.
there's so many genres of music that like and metal everything that it's so hard to define some things anymore because there's more than one genre to define something as. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't even give you my favorite genre other than the fact that Spotify throws out that deathcore is probably up there as like my most common listened to.
Yeah, for sure.
That's good.
I can't remember what mine was this year. I feel like it was probably pop punk, maybe, or metal, one of the two. I'm not quite sure. It might have been metalcore,
Yeah, metalcore's always up there for me as well.
because that's
Like,
like
it's that-
that's what Bring Me the Horizon class does, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that one genre that people delve into, I think, easiest with metal because it is that those screams and then you've got those cleans for most choruses and that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of like the midway point between holy shit, everything's turned up to 11 and like, oh, that's a bit too clean pop punk for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's also the easiest to get into for guitarists as well, and
Oh,
vocalists.
definitely. I mean, I've not delved as deep into electric guitar as until recently. And
Yeah.
going through like
need
metalcore
to.
albums, like First Asking album and whatnot, it is the easiest to pick up just like open
Oh, yeah.
string and just distorted chords, like all of that type of stuff. Like those patterns you pick up, so easy from that, but it opens up a whole new side of guitar.
Oh yeah, like, man, like the thing with metalcore as well is like, if you don't know how to solo on an electric guitar, if you learn a few metalcore songs, you're gonna learn that little trick, that little octave trick,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that is it's such a useful thing, and it's so simple.
Definitely.
I feel like even in bands like Green Day, they kind of use that though a little bit. Just a smidge. Yeah. Where were we?
Dream job. We went straight off like course.
Dream job. Oh my god. Welcome back to the 12th hour of The Voice Inside with Dark Acoustic.
We're gonna do this as the 54-hour thing.
We're now playing Minecraft. No. Okay, who were your biggest inspirations growing up? In anything. Could be a parent or
Teacher,
whatnot. A family,
or
teacher,
in
anything.
whatever.
Anyone.
Whatever
Okay,
thing. Well,
this is gonna sound like quite big-headed and egotistical, but
My God.
myself to begin with. No. So, okay, let me explain here. So, growing up, I was my mom's side of music was kind of more just like old pop kind of stuff, really. So, a lot of I'm trying to even think of things off the top of my head now. It kind of like early 2000s and 90s kind of like pop stuff.
Right.
And as I kind of went into like my early teenage years, I then started being introduced to punk, so like Green Day, like Dookie, like that album.
Yeah.
Um, that kind of started like my whole music progression of I like this stuff a lot. I kind of want to explore a bit, and then around that point then of me being in high school, there were albums dropping from like Falling in Reverse, Stand Up and Scream from Asking, all that kind of stuff where I started getting into the heavier stuff. And that's always built up as time has gone on, as me just kind of exploring out. And I have such a wide range of music now because of myself. Like, obviously, having that introduction and like growing up with 80s stuff and whatnot helped
Yeah.
that. Heard some classic stuff, I heard some like old rock stuff, and then having that pop and then leading into metal myself opened up that whole other side of things. The only bridge there that I never really kind of got into was like country, but there were so many forms of pop that lean into that that it was quite easy to transition to that too. And obviously picking up acoustic guitar and whatnot also added to that. So now I have this whole wide range of I will listen to absolutely anything,
Yeah.
but metal
I'm the same.
remains my favorite genre. And that's only grown heavier over the years because I've built up that whole tolerance of I actually enjoy, um, these multiple string guitars, like 7, 8, 9 strings, and double kick drums and all that kind of stuff, and solos, and uh, the vocals side of it, like no matter how heavy they are to the point where it's just inaudible, niche little details and methods in those kinds of genres is what really clicks music for me and kind of been like, wow, I'm glad that I built up and brought myself into these genres of music. Because if I didn't start leaning into these other genres, I wouldn't have got to where I am now.
Yeah.
As for the gaming side of things, I mean, really, the only inspiration I can think of off the top of my head to where I really started my content creation journey was Gokul Gibson. He now just goes by Gibson or GBSN technically on Spotify. He used to do this whole thing of going into Call of Duty lobbies and singing to random people
Oh, I know
in the
what you mean
game,
now.
and I then approached doing that same thing that he did when I started playing guitar and delving into that myself. So then I
Hmm.
started doing that with streaming, and I did that, and then it built up from there. I went to Mixer or Beam, and then started playing other games, and variety can help that. I think our friend War Actual, like
Yeah.
he really kind of helped that too because I met him through Overwatch, and then from there he started playing other variety games. He picked up an Xbox, he started playing variety, and showing me new games that then I started opening up to all this other stuff rather than just Call of Duty. Because before then, and before Minecraft, I was playing COD and I was messing around with like game battles and playing Call of Duty for money. That I kind of didn't think about playing other random games other than like the odd games of like Halo with friends and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I've got him to thank for that. I've got you to thank partially as well for like the music side of things streams because
The
like
fuck?
yeah,
Oh,
like you doing streams back then was like, oh, like other people are doing it too. Like I kind of want to do it as well a bit more, and started like throwing it in a stream here and there. But it wasn't a regular thing for me.
yeah.
Well, that's cool though. I like your approach to stuff because that makes a lot of sense to me. Um, that you've sort of pushed yourself along, which is really good. I think that's great.
I
I
mean,
think
I
that's
feel
really
like content creation as a whole, a big deal of it, or a big portion of it, is kind of you take inspiration from others, or you get these creative ideas that just randomly spark up. You wake up one morning, you're like, oh my god, that's a really cool idea. Why didn't I think of that?
yeah.
And then you start rolling with it.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
That
That's
that
really
is the way it is.
yeah.
Yeah, I think for inspiration wise, I was very much the same with music. I mean, my mum listened to a lot of 80s pop, like ABBA and stuff,
Aber and
and then a
Wham.
lot of 2000 stuff. Like
Yeah.
growing up, I'd hear fucking Peter Andre on blast over and over again, and I'd be like,
Oh,
really?
bloody
Come on.
yeah.
I do not need to know about.
And then
What, I can't remember the song.
I'm in another room with my headphones on, listening to fucking whatever metal or fucking rock bands or blues or whatever I'm listening to. you know. So
Like, I didn't need to hear Mysterious Girl on repeat for like 3 hours. Come on
but you
now.
did. So
I did.
come on, you love Peter Andre, don't lie. I've heard you singing it, but
I have not. Thank you.
oh, he's gonna stare daggers at me now. Like he's oh, I've upset him. Look, give his secrets away.
However, saying that, a metal version of Mysterious Girl would go fucking hard.
Would be good. Yeah. So yeah, right. Write it down for genre thing when we get around to that, and we'll have a go at that. So not a problem. Yes. With your screamy bits in it, that'd be awesome.
With my screamy bits.
Yeah. I could
Wait
listen
until
to
you
that.
eventually hear dark screamy bits.
Oh well, there we are. Yes.
I mean, I've never heard dark screamy bits, but I know he has screamy bits at some place.
No,
somewhere.
Very nice.
How to get deep down
How deep down?
in the gutturals.
That's the best place. Right in the gutturals.
The gutturals, yeah.
I take my inspiration from a drain pipe. Just
Oh, is that the secret?
what's the closest I can get to this sound?
What's the closest I can get to a drain pipe gurgling? Okay. The next question is, what music did you gravitate towards growing up? Yeah, I guess you've kind of touched on it, but I guess you could go more in depth if you'd like to.
Did you say what kind of music was like?
Yeah, what music did you gravitate towards growing up?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely more like pop punk at the beginning was kind of just like what I was kind of introduced to.
Yeah.
So, that sparked mostly into like a fair bit of Fall Out Boy. Infinity on High is still one of my favorite albums to this day. Like I will listen to that album front to back and not want to skip a song. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, delving into like a lot of metalcore, that was kind of like the early beginnings of phase. I mean, that's probably the closest I ever had to like a an emo phase as people call it.
Yeah.
Like I never really went into the whole like scene kid thing of just like black hair or painted nails or anything like that, and I feel like that's obviously it's not a thing to be frowned upon so much as like some people make it out to be, because it's more of like a way of expressing yourself.
Yeah, it's
But
like a whole style.
yeah,
Really?
I never delved into that, but I definitely had a taste for the music. Like
Yeah. I feel
like
that.
Black Dog Rides, like very much considered a emo band, but there's so much, draw to their music for myself that I will listen to that with no regrets whatsoever, because the melodic two guitar pieces they have is just, you can't really match it with a lot of bands. Like there will be other bands that have that, but they're like a defining band for it. Their first album is another band I will listen front to back and absolutely love it. First 3 albums, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But their stuff, asking kind of fell off. Like with a lot of the newer stuff, not like as in the band falling off, because that's a
Oh my
a
god,
phrase
they
I don't,
fell off!
yeah, that's a phrase I don't really like using for bands. Like they switched up their genres to a more like arena friendly style.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. I will listen to their newest album
Oh yeah.
front to back and enjoy it, but I won't listen to it as much as like going back and listen to the first 3 albums. I will listen to those on repeat, but I won't listen to the new album on repeat. I got to be in the mood for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, obviously, if you go, if a song from an album you listen to a lot growing up comes on, you're gonna listen. You're gonna go, oh, this exists, and then go and listen to that album, because it's like, oh shit, you're reliving what you felt the first time you heard it.
That's right. Yeah. That's that thing. That's that thing with music that gives you memories and reminds you of stuff that happened and situations that you were when you heard the song.
See,
Maybe the first time,
I'm weird. I don't get nostalgic so much in that way. Like when I kind of listen to those albums, I will get those sparks of like, what, I used to listen to this album, so I'll go back and listen to it. But I won't really have any form of attachment to it. Of like, I used to listen to this, so I will listen to it again and listen to this, listen to that.
Yeah.
It's more of just like an appreciative thing of like, say the first Black Veil Brides album. Like I will listen to that just randomly because I love the guitar in it. I love the solos in it. Andy's voice, even in like the remastered version, like his vocals have improved a lot, and they made a lot of changes in the album that I appreciate. Although there are some stuff within the new remastered album where I prefer the original album to the new one. From that album, like Mortician's Daughter, they did kind of like a. I think your internet's kind of
Yeah,
Uh,
shaking up. I don't know
yeah.
if you missed
So
it.
they with the Mortician's Daughter. What did they do?
Yeah, so they made like an overture version of it where they kind of did like a full instrumental version of it,
Oh,
and beautiful piece. I absolutely love it. Back on track.
back on track. Where were we? Where were you?
Yeah, I was going on about the whole Bad for Brides album. Yeah, and like, uh, Sweet Blasphemy, another song on there. One thing with like the new version is great, but the original version, there is a part that a lot of people don't know, but there is a whole synth part in the chorus, which I will always appreciate. I love that.
Yeah.
That I always prefer the original version
yeah.
for that. That I will pick songs back and forth. Like I prefer the newest version album.
We're back. Sorry about that. You won't notice anything on the podcast, but our internet is being a little bit of a weirdo. So if anything sounds a little bit weird or a little bit off, it's probably because we're having to cut a little bit here in the recording. Because for some reason, our internet seems to be being a little shilly. We're going to move on to the next question, however.
Right.
So the next question is, what content creators did you gravitate towards?
Well, I already touched upon Google Gibson
Mhm.
being one of like the main leans into content creation itself.
Yes.
Uh, since then, I mean, for myself, watching content, I tend to go towards more professional players or people who are just very talented at games because that's kind of like where my interests lie. So people like Shroud or pro card players like Optic Scum. I know he's retired now, but he was a big inspiration going into things.
Oh, yeah.
Optic Ramage, way back when I started playing Call of Duty, he kind of led me in the whole sniping direction and montages. So he was a major inspiration. And from like the whole music side of things, I mean, more recently, Will Ramos of Lorna Shore, he's probably
Yeah.
the biggest one for the stuff he's kind of done, like the last few years, kind of jumping into Lorna Shore and the the talent that that guy shows and the passion he shows for the music industry is amazing.
For sure.
Cool. Awesome.
Um, okay. The next question is, if you could meet somebody to either get advice from, jam with, play games with, or just have a good old natter, who would it be, dead or alive?
Well, that would be Will Ramos. He seems like a super chill dude, and I mean, I think we'd click like personality wise, and
Yeah.
you know, having a jam sesh, and just
Oh, yeah.
you know, taking notes from him, like learning, like that would be cool in itself.
That would be a cool thing. I feel like learning from Will on the Scream side is always going to be a fun time, especially because he's gone into the side of things.
Even his cleans. I mean, I don't know if you've heard any of his clean stuff, but like he's got some nice cleans too.
Yeah, true. I haven't listened to a lot of Lorna Shore. You should point me in the direction of some songs at some point, for sure.
I mean, they definitely don't show as much cleans in the band, but like he's done some solo project stuff where he's leaned into it,
Gotcha.
and that's definitely where he's actually like done full cleans and whatnot, which is kind of where you want to lean into.
That makes more sense, yeah. So, Dad? Oh, okay. It just sounded really like muffled and quiet.
No, I was, I did, yeah, very good, and my head was down. Sorry.
Okay. I was just like, what? Oh dear, what audio is going on here?
I was looking down because my eyes were hurting. And
Oh,
I
I
shut
got
my
you.
eyes, and I was looking downwards at the time, and it's yeah.
Um, skimming over. That's all us. That's us. Shit. Actually, I can ask that. So in the past, have you been in any bands, and what kind of music did you make?
So partially touched on that. I did like a bit of a duo project with a friend, and then I went into a band, and then with that, it was a bit more of just like a I guess rock leaning into punk in a sense,
Yeah.
and then I had a whole online band thing going where we were gonna just do straight covers and throw them on YouTube.
Right.
But that really didn't go too far before actually like you know starting anything and putting anything out there.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
That's true.
um,
that's been something I've always kind of wanted to do.
Yeah, get a few people. And,
Ironically,
yeah, put it all together.
that's always
'Cause
been a cool thing.
you've got that skill to put everything back together again, haven't you? So it's yeah,
Yes.
get
yeah, like
people.
everyone just kind of takes the whole side of like they record a video of them doing their piece and then
Yeah,
bring it all together into one big video.
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that'd be good. I
That's
mean, some of the
something.
ones some of the ones he's done and he's got like 3 different views of him doing stuff. It always looks really good to me. I like that sort of thing. It's interesting.
I think that's something I've always wanted to do, and it's something I want to do is do more collabs in the next like year or so with other musicians for YouTube. I did try reaching out to some people from just the YouTube side, but everyone was busy, so that never went to anything.
Which a bugger. Yes.
But hopefully, I feel like we could do some cool shit as well. Okay, where am I now? I don't know where I am anymore. Where am I? Help me.
Me, I'll let you.
Okay, so with either music or content creation or gaming, whichever one or all three, what has been your biggest challenge / learning curve?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
Mm,
So I would say on the gaming front of things, I think I could comfortably say that I'm a bit more naturally gifted, when it comes to my ability to play generally. I feel like I'm above average in a lot of games I play, especially like the FPS genre, and I could excel in that area to where I've never really felt like I've had discomfort of any form, other than where I feel I could push myself and then lean into those areas of like, okay, I'm not as comfortable in this side of, you know, this part of gameplay, so I kind of want to lean more into that. Like as an example, like something like Apex, like leaning into movement away from my typical ability to be good at the gunplay side of things.
yeah,
Having that is a tendency of like it's a learning process, but I've never really found it to be a struggle to try and pick up because it's something I'm passionate about.
Cool.
Music, however, I've always felt on and off. Like I will go for a process of I will be involved and passionate about it for a small period, but then I'll feel disconnected and I'll fall off of it. And
yeah,
that's probably just my biggest thing. Is just like with music, just I always kind of like weave in and out of it and never have a consistent flow. And I think that's just because of back when I was doing music, the initial reason that I fell off of doing it and fell out of passion and love for it kind of drove me in a step of like I don't really care about doing music for myself as much anymore.
Right.
right,
But now leaning into trying to play heavier stuff to more of my interest has
yeah,
definitely helped that rather than just I'm gonna learn how to play this song of a newer popular song which I'm never really going to utilize as much unless I go do covers of it.
Right.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Got you. Anything on the content creation side at all?
Probably networking, really.
I feel
I've
that.
always struggled with that and never really want to reach out, particularly, and
Yeah,
that's just down to me being stubborn in itself, really, and no one's ever going to really understand that you're going to want to connect with them unless you actually engage in that way and say like you want
yeah,
to connect and do some stuff.
yeah. It's a difficult thing. I've always struggled with networking, to be honest.
I mean, everyone's got to be wanting to do it. That's the thing, isn't it? With
Yeah,
network, everyone's got to be. You ask somebody if they're not that sort of person, they don't really enjoy doing that. Then you're not going to get them to do it, are you? So it's an awkward one, really.
yeah. I think networking is definitely a challenge. I think in the, I think by doing the social media manager kind of job I was doing for the old
Oh yeah.
esports
Yeah.
org I was with, the Vandals. I think that really it pushed me into learning more things, and it pushed me into more of figuring out what works on socials for promotion. And I think that did help a lot going into Chased by Voices. And even as recent as the Jingle Jam, that really did push me into, oh, I have to network.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Because
gonna
you are
be
so
much
people.
easier if I network with the people in here and talk to the
Yeah.
people in this Discord I'm in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
And it was so.
going to their streams.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I don't know. As a creator, it's so weird because it's either I feel like it's either a thing of you spend all of your time on Twitch networking. I don't know. I think I got stuck with that. Like I got too caught up in watching people's streams and networking that way than networking in other ways.
Right.
Like, yes, that's a great way. However, I don't know. I feel like there's better ways to network than just spending 24/7 on Twitch. Because obviously
Yeah.
there's other socials as well.
Yes.
But with doing content elsewhere, that also helps with that, I guess.
I would also like to throw in there though that even though you could say that like spending the whole time on Twitch and networking that way, it definitely probably isn't as efficient, but you build kind of a tighter connection with those people that you're trying to network with within
Yeah,
like a smaller
yes,
circle perhaps. If you
Yeah.
kind of just want to
for sure.
form like a small group, it is better that way.
Yeah.
But if you're
Oh, yeah.
trying to reach out to multiple people for multiple collabs, you probably want to be going across the board and splitting the time in half, like half the time on
Yeah.
Twitch, networking with the people that are mostly engaged with, and then the other half going out and branching out on socials.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree with that 100%. I think that's the way to go. Um, I definitely think if I don't know. I guess there's questions down the line touching more on that. I guess so. I won't mention that yet. So what is the thing you enjoy the most about what you do? I guess you can go from like the content side and the music side as well, and gaming, whichever.
Well, gaming is like my biggest passion.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where initially it was kind of formed as like a distraction, but at the same time, I just always had a love for it, enjoying just playing games generally. So it was a hobby as well as a mental distraction that it kind of went hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
From that, I mean, I've grown to love that more and more with playing variety and pushing myself into new genres and trying to grind through big grindy games and knocking it down to doing it within like a couple of weeks. I
Yeah.
love that kind of push of like how fast can I do it, or
Yeah.
um, how fast can I just like power through the power curve to get to the late game stuff to experiment with all that other content that I enjoy the most, the challenging, difficult content.
Yeah.
And being able to share that at the same time with the community is one great thing about it is like you get people's reactions and you get that involvement of like, hey, you also want to like go through this content too, or you're struggling with this content, we can kind of work together on that and
Yeah.
power through together.
Yeah. I
On the
think
music
that's a cool
side,
thing.
yeah, on the music side, it's kind of, as I said before, I kind of gone in and out with music and the passion for it. But more and more recently, going into the genres that I enjoy more, learning new techniques and stuff that really is kind of like built that passion of like, oh, like I'm glad that I'm learning that. That was really cool to learn, and now I can apply this somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I'm very much a perfectionist when it comes down to certain things where I want to make sure that something is narrowed down to the point where I know how to fully do it and I'm comfortable doing it. And at
Totally.
the same time, I can then work on a project and I make it exactly how I want it to be, the best I can.
Yeah. That's I think being a perfectionist is a good thing it's also a massive fucking downfall sometimes.
Yes.
It can do.
Like,
I can't tell you how many times I've deleted projects straight out. Like
know.
I will start it, I'll get most of the way through 70-80%, and I'll be like, and no, delete. And people are like, well, you just did all that work for like days on end, and you
Yeah.
just threw it away like that. Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, that is me in a nutshell. Like,
It can be as simple as that.
like with the graphic stuff. Like, you watched me do graphics on stream the other day, and I'm not a graphic artist. Like, I don't come from that background. I have no real experience or any professional experience in that. But like, I'll start making something, and I'll take so long to do it, and then I'll be like, nah. Then I just scrap it. It's the same with
Yep.
music. Like,
Yeah.
I'll find a riff I like or a set of chords I like and a nice sound, and I'm like, oh, that's super cool. I start building it, and then I'm like, all right, that's cool. That's done. Never go back to it.
You take
It
it as
was
far as
fun
you
for a few minutes.
Yeah, like
could. It happened.
spent like 2 hours on it, and no. It's like the Christmas song from this year, like the original one, the one I rewrote in the end.
Yeah, we mucked about with.
I
Yeah.
spent like an hour and a half trying to write a fucking fresh new song, and I'm like, this ain't working.
No.
Then it's just like, oh, let me just
Okay.
do this.
Just play this and done with it. Yeah, that was it. But no, I mean, if it works though, that's the thing, isn't it? It's you find ways of doing stuff that way. Yeah, it's you think you've got a really good idea, and then you build, put a bit more to it, and you think, well, no, actually, it doesn't sound as good as I thought it would. So that's why you scrap it, I guess. But yeah, it can be frustrating at the same time, though. I think.
I think what's worse with music for me is when you start doing multiple takes, and then you start feeling yourself kind of. I keep making more mistakes with it as I keep doing it, rather than making it better, and that's annoying me at that point.
Yeah. See, that for me, that would be the time I get up and walk away, and then come back to it later. And I would probably try again. It's like when I try and put a screw into something that I can't feel where it's supposed to go, and you muck around for 10 minutes trying to do it.
Oh, see, I'm different. I will take a hammer to that screw.
No, I will just walk away and come back, and then the next time I try it, it will just go straight, and I'll be able to do it.
I would take
it's
a
like-
hammer to that.
I will take the hammer to the screw. That's my method.
There's nothing wrong with that either. So
I
I
was
mean,
like with Dad the other day. We were putting up Christmas lights, and I'm like, I can just use a fucking screw. He's like, no, you can't use a screw. I'm like, of course I can. Just fucking whack it in. Be fine. Yeah.
all them holes in that wall now. I don't know. Anyway, it's good.
It could be the bathroom door with the dartboard holes.
Oh, I did fill those holes in. Look. I just haven't
yeah.
got round to the dartboard back up. Mind you, we don't know where the bloody darts are now. So.
I know where they are, I think.
Oh right, okay.
So on the topic of being a perfectionist and everything, what is the longest time that you remember that you've spent on a project that you've scrapped?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head.
Right.
That's fair.
I mean, definitely like to the point closer of a week. I feel of like
Yeah.
back and forthing on something. I mean, I've definitely done stuff with projects in games like Ark and Minecraft and whatnot, where I've been working on a build, and then I will spend like 2 days working at it, rip the whole thing down, and then do it again, and then rip it down multiple times before I actually go, you know what? I either just completely leave it and forget about it, or I just actually get it down to the final piece that I want.
See,
Yeah.
Minecraft is that game for me that I am exactly like that in, and
I was today like that. I swapped something around 3 times, I think, before I decided what I wanted to do. And it was like I'd put certain stuff up, and I thought, no, it doesn't look right. Let me try it with this. And I went back, no, that don't look right. I'll do it with that way. It just is what it is, isn't it?
but that's you building in creative. when you go into the survival aspect of things.
Oh God, no! I mean,
Like the amount of hours that you spend gathering resources and having to do one thing to get to another thing, and that's just vanilla. If you add the modded aspect into that, oh my days!
I've seen you do it, and it's
there for hours.
I look at it and I'm like, why are you? You know.
Saying that, there was that one mod pack that I played. That what you see? It was that planet one that I played recently.
Really good. I enjoyed that. Was really good
I know you watched a bit of it, Dark, as well. It's when I was in that tube. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, it was
Planet.
really good.
Ask something. I can't remember. That's annoying. But like, I think that is the closest I've gotten to finishing a mod pack within like a month, less than a month. It was like a bunch of 12-hour plus streams I did, and that's all I played. But I like doing those sometimes.
Sometimes you get into it though, don't you? And it's like, oh yeah, I wanna.
Like last night. My problem is we finished doing the music stream, and I'm like, okay, I have a feeling I want to play Valorant. Then I put a poll up in the Twitch chat, and I'm like, Valorant or Raid Out. Someone voted Raid Out, and I went, oh, okay. It's like, damn, who's being cold here?
You shouldn't fucking ask. You shouldn't
Confession, it was me. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm gonna say it was Ross, mainly because it's a Ross type thing to do. Although shout out to Ross, because in the first episode, originally when we were recording it, we did the intros, and Ross comes into the chat and is like, "Can't hear Neil," and I'm like, "Of course you can." I was like, "I've got everything set up fine."
You didn't believe him because he.
And then I listened. Then I listened back and it was gone.
No, not there.
Like today, before we started recording, I couldn't hear anything. Like not even me. Turns out, I put the audio encoder on 24-bit instead of just no bit, and no audio was coming through. The weirdest thing. I'm like, okay, it's weird. Okay. Last time I messed with that, then. Where was I? But yeah, I did that, and oh yeah, so sometimes I just want to stream for like hours on end, and that's a problem with doing a lot of longer streams. It gets me into that thing of, oh yeah, streaming, and then my problem with how we're scheduling things right now, I don't have a problem with it. It's nice to have a lot of time off, but I'm also working on other things outside of that. And sometimes I want to just wake up and just stream the whole day. Which is why at like 3 a.m. last night, I went live on my channel. And I played Valorant for like 30 minutes, and then I was like, not feeling it. Then I switched to Fortnite, played a game, and I was like, alright, I'm off to bed.
That's one of the other things I kind of like. I guess I could say is a bit of a struggle with content creation and like gaming sometimes is on the gaming side, I will have moments where I'm not really sure what particularly to play. And when I have those moments, it's like I would love to be sitting there doing like multiple hour streams and have like spur of the moment just want to pop a stream at like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning type thing. But one, I feel, is anyone going to be around at that kind of time? But then secondly, what am I going to play if I don't have a dedicated game that I'm playing at the time?
Yeah.
For a long duration to where I can grind it a lot and put all that time in that I want to put in.
That's the thing. Like, I'd really like to do a modded Minecraft series. But the problem with that is even a very kind of half-light pack that me and Mangold were playing, we ended up paying like $40 for a server.
Yeah.
And it's like,
which is so surprising because like getting like an Ark server or something, or just a realm on like, you know, Bedrock edition of Minecraft, it's only like £12, something like that. Like it's not as bad in comparison.
Like, don't get me wrong, like we were able to get a server for like £10 that was like that we could put the mod pack onto the server, and you could play it. But the problem is the amount of RAM you get with that server, and the amount of memory.
Yeah.
Like the amount of memory that a mod pack will pump out is ridiculous. Especially if there's multiple dimensions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And especially with something like Vault Hunters, which is the pack we were playing, when you're constantly loading and loading out of worlds. And it's like, that's a problem.
Yeah, there's always going to be limitations, I suppose.
But I'd love to do a Minecraft thing.
Interesting.
A modern
Trouble is,
Minecraft thing.
if you started that though, would you then be doing anything else? Because you get into it.
That's my problem. Like,
gets put aside.
it's like getting back into Valorant again. It's like,
Yeah.
I need to make sure that on these days that I'm not playing with the team, that I'm
That you're still
streaming other things.
Yes, and doing other stuff.
Which
So,
also then puts me into a thing where I know that some days off of the schedule, I'm going to start streaming on the other channel. But I kind of have to force myself not to do that so I don't burn out.
Yeah, that's a fair point as well. You got to be careful.
That's the thing I realised last night is I'm streaming on my gaming channel again at 3 a.m.
Right.
I'm going to burn out. Because I'm like, if I stream now here through to like 8 a.m. and I'm like, oh shit, I got to go to sleep and wake up for like 12 p.m. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, it's it's always swings and roundabouts. Unfortunately, you got a balance. It's finding a balance is the hardest thing with whatever you do, I think.
Yeah. With that topic, we're leaning more into the mental health side of things now. So, has content creation, or music, whatever, wherever you feel it works for you, or even like work, it could be. Has what you do affected your mental health in any way that you're comfortable to share? Of course.
I think content creation as a whole always has that mental impact in some way, whether it's as deeply affecting your mental health as it is for like other things. It still has some form of impact of maybe no one is around watching the streams. You kind of get that feeling of, well, do I continue doing it because I don't know if anyone's watching, if it's worth it, or some people feel a little bit more conflicted with, are people going to judge them for how they act, how they play, all that kind of various stuff, that it can have certain impacts on different people depending on the person. Some people obviously take more of a toll of it than others. Personally, I've never really had as much of an issue with the content side or any of that really affecting my mental. It's more so outside things that brought out it affected my mental health to a point where I stopped doing music just because I lost interest in it. And I'm like, that period I was just kind of, I'm not feeling it. So I completely dropped off of it. I just lost the passion, and that's kind of where that lied. But as for any form of content creation and whatnot affecting my mental, I mean, I'd say more so nowadays, as I've evolved as a person, I'm more in touch with my feelings and appreciate my emotions. That I know that some things I'm going to be feeling, it's bound to happen. That's just, you are human.
Yeah.
That is how it is. But I also feel a lot more disconnected from my feelings than I used to. I'm a lot more numb to things than I used to be. Like, I want to say there's a whole term for it of not really having any kind of form of feeling to, anything that kind of impacts you in any way. Like, some things that would make someone sad or angry or something, I kind of just, it doesn't affect me in the slightest.
It's almost like like you said, you're just kind of numb to it, and you just kind of zone out, I guess.
Right.
Maybe in a certain way. Yeah. I mean I definitely feel that. I feel like definitely from the side of wondering if anyone's going to show up, especially if you're doing something new, and say you play a game, take Warframe, for instance. say you've only streamed Warframe for like a month. If you turn around and stream something like I don't fucking know, what's a completely opposite game, House Flipper 2, for instance. If you turn around and stream that out of nowhere, like say you only stream like one game, if you're locked into a game, if you turn around and you're like, okay, I'm gonna play this game on this day because I want to try something new, then I feel like it could be a bit odd.
Yeah, you build an audience, and you worry that like that same audience is going to be like, well, it's not my type of game. I don't play that, so I don't really care about watching someone play it, unless they really care about the personality side of a streamer, which, fortunately, like many people do. But there are some people, and even myself, I'm quite guilty of it. Is I will mostly watch people for the game they're playing.
Yeah.
Like if Shroud is playing, an FPS game, I will be watching those streams if I'm around and not watching anyone else. But if he's then playing like an MMO, if there's no one else really around that I want to watch at the time, I'll tune in and watch it because it is something for me to just have on in the background. But most times I kind of be like, I don't really care for whatever that is in particular that he's playing, unless it's an FPS.
Yeah.
And that's because of my taste, really. Like, and I know it's the same way for others. Like, some people just play one game and they want to watch that one game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I definitely feel like it's like that. I've done that too. Like as much as I say, I feel like I feel like it's really important for streamers to have both kinds of those watchers in their communities. I mean, I guess people that end up watching for your personality and for you as a person normally end up becoming like regulars, what we call regulars. And
Most
then
definitely.
you'll have like the pass throughs for like certain games, which is fair. Like, of course, everyone can watch what they want to watch, and if you don't want to watch, say you like watching us play music and you don't want to watch me play Valorant, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Although I think a lot of people still watch though. That's the thing I've noticed.
Last night, for sure, we actually had more viewers when switching to Valorant than music, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? That threw me the fuck off last night. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know if that's something to do with because it's a lot of people are away from home at Christmas and stuff.
Yeah, it's also Christmas. Yeah.
I mean, you never know what the situation's going to be like, especially at this time of year. Whether there's going to be people watching or not. If they're busy with family and friends and stuff, it's more likely to be.
Yeah.
Why there aren't so many people on, but
for sure.
I mean, you're still putting something out. So I mean, if there's somebody about and they want something to watch, they can watch you. That's the way you've got to look at it a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think with holidays and stuff, it's always a thing of, obviously, in a year with streaming, with viewership and everything on that topic, there's certain sections in the year where you're gonna have more viewers than other times, like summer holidays, where people are likely off work or off school. You're gonna get more viewers.
Yeah.
Christmas, it's half and half. It really depends.
I mean, you're going to collect people that have just got computers for the first time, and think, oh, I've heard about this thing called Twitch. I'll come and have a look, and you're going to collect those where some of the people that may come in during the year won't because they're away doing other things. So it's always a mixture, isn't it?
I think one of my favourite things is towards Christmas time, and I think we had it happen. I don't know. I think it was in our first year with Chased by Voices when I was doing the 6 a.m. streams.
Oh God, yeah.
And everything. I had someone come in and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is my first time on Twitch. You're the first person I came to," and I'm like, "What? Huh?" Of all the people, they gravitated towards my stream for the first stream. I'm just like, what?
Yeah,
it's crazy. I think my favorite thing though, on top of that, is when you know those people that come into, especially our chat. I feel like Dark's seen this as well in our chat, where people come in and are like, "Oh, I didn't expect you to be as good as you were. kind of thing.
Yeah.
I always question on whether they came in with the intention to like troll
Yeah.
because of appearance.
Yeah, because they see what you look like. I think sometimes
I always question it.
it
I mean,
does make you wonder. I think. Yeah.
even then, even if it's not in the whole aspect of wanting to come in and troll per se, like a lot of people do the whole like judging a book by its cover,
Yeah.
and they go, oh, I don't expect that kind of voice out of somebody, or I don't expect someone to be able to have that kind of talent or ability, when really there's nothing affecting them from being able to have that. It's
You should always be surprised.
right.
You should always be surprised what people can do. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah.
You know,
I
it's
think so.
amazing. People always surprise you.
I think that's the great thing about Twitch, though. There's so much hidden talent across Twitch.
Yes. Yeah, and there's such a variety of stuff.
Oh yeah,
As well.
for sure.
I mean, there's some really talented people.
Hey, that was something I was going to partially tap into at the beginning of the question of how like when sometimes you have an idea and you want to like share that out with people, but you don't know if anyone's going to be around to see it, or
Yes.
engage in that to like really showcase what you want to showcase. And that's always one thing that sucks. But even then, like showcasing your ability with something in particular, going back to Warframe as a game, I feel like that's one game where I can showcase my ability, and especially on like a new player approach, a lot of in my past of starting Twitch and
Yes.
Warframe, I helped a lot of new players, and my kind of approach was, if you're a new player, ask questions. I'll explain to you best I can in the most easiest, simplest way to
Yeah.
help you understand.
I think that's
But
a big
then,
one, though. Yeah. I think that's a
right,
big.
but then now I definitely feel like there are people that I even know myself, and I don't mean you here, Carl, but I know people that have engaged in Warframe, and they play the game, they're learning the game, but they won't want to step in and you know check out my stream at any point to let me showcase like and explain some of the things that they're a little bit confused about, even though it's basically a free resource.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sometimes is like not really annoying, but it's like, well, it's a bit of a shame that I can't really showcase to that person or multiple people
Yeah.
that are in that position what I would like to, because I know I have that ability to.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I think with me, I'm always someone who wants to try and do something myself before anything. I don't know if that's me being fucking stubborn or if that's me just kind of wanting to learn it myself
No, like I feel I'm the exact same. Like
first.
it feels more rewarding for you to
Yeah.
kind of like engage in it yourself and work it out without having the outside help of like someone telling you what to do. You kind of
Yeah.
pick it all up by yourself.
It's like that analogy of people reading over your shoulder. It can be annoying, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right, which is why I approach it the way I do. Like, I don't want to just be like, "Oh, this is how you do this."
Do it
Like,
this-
I
yeah,
want it to be like, "Is there something you're not sure about, and you need a little bit of explaining to, because I can help in that regard."
yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen people do that. It's weird when people come in and go, "Oh no, you don't want to go that way. You want to go through this door
Backseat
and
gaming,
do
yeah.
that." And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'd like to try and find out for my fucking self.
Yeah.
It's-
That term is backseating in the gaming world, is what
yeah,
you're saying.
yeah, same as driving.
It's
So,
like backseat driving, yeah.
exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I always prefer someone to go at it the way you do, Dark, and I appreciate the way you go at it, because obviously you've been in being a streamer and a content creator, you've been in that position probably where people have come in and have gone, oh yeah, you want that this way instead, or
Yeah,
this
Yeah.
is a better way of doing it.
I noticed last night, Kyle, that I wasn't in the stream, but I heard you talking about what you were doing,
Yeah,
and you were doing the thing about the head height stuff
yeah,
in the game again, and you were talking about that again in there, and I think that helps people. And the way you explained it makes a lot of sense to me.
Speaking of which, I mentioned earlier Valorant team. I guess I kind of announced it on stream today a little bit, but I'm now part of a Valorant team. cannot remember the name of the Valorant team.
Rejects.
Rejects. That's the one. That's the one. I knew that. I was just testing you, Duck.
Yep.
But yeah, Chrissy, one of the players, and he,
Captain.
yeah, the captain of the team. He turned around last night at like 2 a.m. whilst I replied to one of his Discord messages on the team Discord, and he turned around and was like, "I was lurking during your thing today, on your like rundown of like headshot angles on Sunset. And it was really good shit." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks. I'm glad someone took notice." And even Ross last night turned around to me whilst I was doing it and was like, "Oh, that's actually pretty helpful." And then I just kind of went on a tangent for like 2 hours. I didn't mean to, but
like I said before, I don't play the game, but I get exactly what you were saying, and I understand, and it makes total sense to do that. It makes total sense if you know that there's a point there that he's going to be level, then use that, and then just move a bit to the right or left, and you've got the bugger, ain't you? So that's the way to do it. That's definitely the way to do it.
I do think I like doing that whole thing of trying to help newer players understand things more. But when it comes to FPS games, a lot of players will completely ignore what you say if you are a lower rank than what they are.
Yeah.
And I've definitely had experiences where I've played with people that are higher ranked than me that I definitely know. I've been around the block a few hundred times more. And I'm like, ooh.
Why do that? Why do it that way? Yeah.
But like when I go to mention something, I will say it in a way that isn't patronizing or it's like it's just a thing of a thing I noticed whilst we're playing it is this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sharing your knowledge kind of situation more than anything.
I mean, it's the same in music and everything, really.
Oh, yeah.
It's
for sure.
figure out what to do. I mean,
It's
if
a whole across the board thing.
You don't know, you show them what it was, don't you? And it's like, I've just learned that. It's
like that goes for anything. Like whether you're a content creator and you're trying to give advice to a newer streamer or a newer content creator, or like even a friend that's a content creator of your size or bigger. Like I feel like a big thing in the world of content creation as well, I think I said a bit of this in the first episode as well, is there's a lot of content out there that kind of breaks down how you do things as a content creator on stuff like YouTube and everything, and how to make good YouTube videos, how to make good content, schedule it, and all this stuff. There are some great fucking channels to do that. However, I found a majority of the better ones have like 20,000 subscribers or less. Like, they're considered smaller content creators.
But they explain it better.
But they explain it so much better, and they kind of, I don't want to use the word gatekeep, but it's the only thing that in my brain right now would explain it. It's like they gatekeep. I feel like bigger content creators gatekeep information away from smaller content creators whenever they're asked.
Yeah, you don't need to know that. No.
It's always a thing of like, oh yeah, I don't need to tell you my secrets, and it's like, it's not a secret.
No, it's not a secret. But
it's like all these like SEO bots you get on socials.
Yeah, I mean that's why I like watching cookery stuff, because you learn something from it. You see someone make something and you think, oh yeah, I could do that. I could have a go at that. And even if you mock it up, it don't matter, does it? Let it go. So, especially the way I cook. So there you go. But
that caught me off guard. I was like, that's out of the fucking blue, mate. Fucking cooking.
It's the same principle, though.
Yeah.
Exactly
It was.
I mean, I think I've learned more cookery-wise by watching people and this, viewing stuff,
right,
or being taught by somebody how to do stuff, than I ever would have done. Some stuff I wouldn't have even attempted. And it's like, why would I attempt to make that? But it's actually quite easy when you know how to. And I think it's the same with everything. Say going with music or gaming or whatever. If you're getting information, learning something, then it's all bloody good, really.
I also feel like going back to like Kyle's points of like underrated content creators and whatnot and the information that they share.
Yes.
There's a lot of situations where you'll see it a lot more in like the MMO community or with games like Warframe and Destiny, that kind of stuff, where
Uh-huh.
you'll have the more popular content creators will have the kind of basic rundowns of like, here is this build for this said thing, but the smaller content creators that you don't really look into as much and don't have that popularity actually have stronger builds that are more powerful because they go into the detail and the calculations of stuff and they put way more time and grind into it,
Yeah.
but they haven't had that chance to showcase themselves and gain that popularity that the bigger streamers or content creators have. So, yes, the bigger content creators have the popularity, but their builds might not be as good as smaller content creators are. But people just flock to the bigger content because it's the first thing they find, it's the first thing they see, and they go, "Oh,
Yeah.
that guy has a few million followers or whatever. That he knows what his shit and he knows what he's doing."
It's what you're pushed towards as well. It's what's recommended to you.
Yeah.
Like, I notice a lot more when I go onto YouTube and look for certain Valorant things. Yes, there's a lot of stuff from bigger content creators, but actually not as much. Like, a lot of the bigger content creators are making content like we put like 5 silvers against a Radiant and whatnot, and that kind of stuff. There's not actually many content creators that go into the background of it other than pros or analysts
Or coaches, yeah,
or coaches. And I feel like there's not many smaller content creators that are, at least in the Valorant scene, that do that. Like, no one really looks into that kind of thing. And it's always something that I've wanted to look into. It's why I spend so long on maps like the other night, just going around and explaining shit. But it's just putting that down and into a concept to put onto YouTube. It's like, it's trying to figure out what the best way possible to have that feed into something.
Part of me also questions though maybe if it's just because of the kind of viewership that seeks that kind of content.
Yeah.
Though maybe a little bit less than everything else
Oh, for
because
sure.
all the entertainment stuff is like thrown out there. It's like it's the content that is suggested, but really you're only going to find more technical and like knowledge based videos if you're searching for it or you're looking up lineups. Lineups is the biggest thing that you'll find that people will look for directly by search terms
Yeah.
just to try and get, I want to learn this angle to throw this utility or just where I can get this crazy angle on a person without them even seeing me.
100%.
That you'll look for, but you won't be looking for, how do I win more of my gunfights? Like, you might have that as like a search topic that will instantly come up with a video, but when you go down that kind of tree of that type of content, the more finer detail stuff where it's less sought after, that's where you'll kind of drop off in viewership, I feel.
Although, saying that, I think there's a... I watched a string of videos. It's the videos where Valorant creators turn around and they use aim labs for like a week. And they'll go, I used aim labs for a week and this is what happened. That's their title. There's so many videos of that. And yes, technically at this point it's kind of oversaturated. But a lot of these creators go super in depth on the numbers on how they improved and how you can do it in the most effective way. And only a handful of people do that. It's the same. It's like there's you don't see a lot of big creators make stuff like montages. Like a majority of the best montages you'll find for Valorant, at least, they're gonna have 100 to 1,000 subs, maybe 2,000 at a push.
Yeah.
and the editing is insane on it, and it's like, what?
I wonder if that's because they're in a smaller group, that they put more into their creation of content.
I mean, that's the thing.
And sometimes with a bigger person, oh well, I've already got 100,000 people, so I'll just chuck this out. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but it could, that could affect stuff like that, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I know for a fact that, especially on YouTube, there's two different sides of YouTube. There's quality over quantity, and there's quantity over quality.
Yep.
Which,
Yeah.
at the moment for us, we're half-arsed on both, which is not where I want to be.
Yeah.
But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like for something like the Jingle Jam that I have a lot of content for, just pumping stuff out from that, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
But I do want to create some standalone videos, like these podcasts. They're a standalone thing, that it's its own entity, that it has. There's not a lot that goes into the production of it, because it's very simple.
Yeah.
But just trying to have it as clean as a format as possible, and as clean as a visual standpoint, that was super important for me going into that.
Yeah.
And it's the same going forwards for any other content I create outside of just stream highlights.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, everybody listening to the podcast, this is now going to be potentially a two-parter. Well, it is going to be at least a two-parter. But we have come to the end of today's episode. Dad, you all right?
Yeah, so I just had to lean forward a second.
Okay. But yes. That is all we have time for today. Thank you so much for listening and watching along. Massive thank you to our guest, oLyraa, aka Dark Acoustic, for joining us. If people listening / watching would like to find you and your stuff, where can they do so?
Most importantly, oLyraa, oLyraa on Twitch. And I mean, outside of that, really, Twitter, that's kind of the main social that I would use outside of that, but I'll be honest, I don't really network as much as I used to and whatnot and interact, so Twitch is main place.
Twitch is the main place. Okay. You can find video episodes of the Voice Inside podcast and other Chased by Voices productions over on our YouTube channel, which you can find by going to youtube.com/Chased by Voices. If you're driving at work or doing the laundry, you can listen to an audio version of this podcast over on Spotify by searching The Voice Inside by Chased by Voices. Vice versa, if you want to see a video version of this, you can head on over to that same YouTube link. I literally just said that, didn't I, actually? It's late. Once again, thank you for our guests for joining us. Thank you for listening or watching along. I've been Kyle.
I've been Neil.
And we've been Chased by Voices, the voice inside
your head.
Bye-bye!
Bye.
So guys, make sure you check out Chased by Voices all over the place. They're on Twitch, they're on YouTube, they're on the Spotify. You were listening to the podcast. Make sure that you grab your popcorn, your snacks, your pork scratchings, and whatever you want. You get some water, you hydrate, you throw that water down your throat right now. I swear I will come to your house and feed you cookies.